and Jonesy know what it's all about. From burnouts and doubts to boundaries that stick. We're right here with you through thick and thick. Do what you want because you're grown. You don't need to hustle all on your own. With that voice in your ear when it all goes whack. Take a deep breath, we got your back.
Right. 1, 2, 3. All right, so welcome to another episode of Minding Our Business, where we talk mental health and entrepreneurship. And today our guest is Scott, who is a CFO at Biotech. I know Scott personally through improv, so we're excited to have him and learn about him. So Scott, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about your story, kind of where you started, where you are?
Sure thing. Pleasure to be on. So thank you both. So I moved my computer so everyone wouldn't see that I'm a displaced New Yorker, because this whole wall over here is all Yankee gear, and I figured everyone would just turn off the podcast right away. So I found my way to Pennsylvania maybe 15, 16 years ago. I accounting undergrad, did some accounting jobs, got my MBA at NYU Business School, and then went into finance and met my business partner there in 1998. So we've been friends for, I don't know, whatever that is, 28 years or so. We both went to JP Morgan full-time together. And then he started a company in 2003 doing private equity investing. I was the first guy in the door. So we've been business partners now for 23 years as well. We've done a wide variety of investing and or running companies. So it's been a 2-decade plus entrepreneurial journey, which is why, we have many broken bones and skin knees, and you know how it is.
So there's definitely some stories of emotional resilience coming in there.
Oh yes.
Riley, you got to turn that down and go over there, honey. Okay.
Not that website, Riley.
Yeah, she's on the wrong site. So Biotech is a point of sale software?
Correct. Yep. So it's so the official name is Biotech Medical Software Inc. We go by BioTrack because we track, right, the whole track and trace in the cannabis industry. BioTrack's been in business for over 15 years now, and did both government and commercial software. Mm-hmm. My partner and I have now bought the company twice. So we bought it once back in 2018, sold it in 2021 in an IPO onto the NASDAQ with another company, and then bought it back in late 2023. And we've been, CEO and CFO respectively through both of those journeys.
So when you say you rebought it, I guess, was it failing without you guys? And then you went and took it back and then brought it back up?
I mean, that's certainly what we tell everybody. But I mean, all joking aside, I do think the financial performance, it's objectively fair to say, was better when we were involved than when we were not. And I think also the company that bought it the first time, there was strategic reprioritization, which made sense, right? They bought it for a certain reason, which was predicated on cannabis becoming federally legalized, which when we first got into the industry in 2015, if you had told us in 2020, would it be federally legal? We would have said, absolutely. We would have been dead wrong. And then if you asked us again in 2020, would it be legal in 2025? We would have said, definitely. And we, again, would have been completely wrong. So we've just stopped guessing when it's going to actually happen. So
because I know it's in the cannabis industry. So were you targeting that industry when you and your partner were starting out? Were you looking to the future like, hey, this is where it's going to end up being?
So a lot of what we did before 2015 was investing and operating in what's become known as frontier markets. So Africa, Eastern Europe, et cetera, Middle East. And when we came back to the US, I was brought in to do some interim CFO work for one of the big cannabis companies out in Colorado. And I was like, hey, Zach, like, this is just another frontier market. It's just not in sub-Saharan Africa, but it's the regulations are funky. The laws are obviously disparate between federal and state. Each state has its own thing. And so we started a security business. We then we're able to do the acquisition of BioTrack. So we were in both security and software. But yes, we saw this as just another frontier market, which we'd been operating in already for 8 or 9 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you shifted frontier market away from the geographic into like literally the vertical.
Exactly right. That's exactly what we used to say. Right. So frontier markets used to always just be a geographic concept. And then the legal cannabis industry in the US, because Canada was different because it was federally legal almost right off the bat, or at least has been for many years.
I had no idea.
Yep.
It's marijuana is federally legal in Canada?
Canada and a number of other countries. And so, for instance, like you can export from Uruguay, put it on a boat and take it to Canada. You cannot do that in the US, just like you can't grow it in California and drive it into and sell it in Nevada. Even though it's legal in both states, you've crossed state lines, you've just committed a federal felony.
Dang, I commit crimes all the time.
That's
well,
good.
I should have put that on a podcast.
Yeah, put it out there in the ether.
What are you gonna do?
Scott, you're where I want to be in the future. I mean, I'm already in Pennsylvania, so I guess I got a leg up there. But I have a couple of small businesses that I own and operate, and I'm like, I part of my vision is I run a marketing business, and instead of building it to sell, my plan is to hold on to it, to then have it facilitate the marketing arm, be it strategy or execution of anything I start from here on out. It's a very kind of new revelation to me internally. Just based on that and what you've gone through and how you've scaled up, what would, any suggestions or checkpoints or stopgaps I should look internally at right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, right? Because to me, maybe I'm a control freak, but the more key things you can control, the better, right? And look, I'll admit it, I'm terrified of what AI is going to do over the next 5 or 10 years. I'm definitely on Team Terminator. Like, I think we're going Skynet, but I'm happy to be wrong, thrilled to be wrong. And so
market.
Yeah, definitely. But whether it's marketing or any other industry, I don't know where it's going to go. So the more you can control, key inputs to the business. And look, as an accounting guy, it took me literally 10 years to fully accept that sales and marketing are the most important thing in any business, right? To me, it was like, no, but we have a great product, and it doesn't matter. You have to be able to market it and sell it. And so what you are building as a good to me is huge.
Cool. So I got it. Thanks.
You got it. Yeah, you're good.
Validation.
Yeah.
Just as far as any like warning signs, like I would want to, or put parameters on myself. You said there's been a lot of broken bones along the way, so that's what I'm trying to eke out of you here.
So yeah, I mean, and this podcast and its topics are probably perfect for, not to segue too quickly, but I think very talented people, the easiest thing is to not delegate it all, take on too much, crack one way or another, or just not be kind to themselves, right? And as I'm sure you both know, like, you have to leave a little bit of balance. You can probably, well, maybe you can't tell, but I'm a work from home guy. I've been working from home for like 15, 16 years now, way before COVID. And it's very easy when your home office is 10 feet from your bedroom to never turn it off. But I guess the other thing to me, to answer your question even more specifically, is everything's about people. And that also took me a little while to fully understand. And unfortunately, there are good motivated people, and there were either bad or not motivated people. And trying to recognize that quickly as you bring in other resources, whether they be employees or consultants, give them a chance, give them some tools, but sometimes you have to make the hard decision. And there's this concept in entrepreneurship of, if you're going to fail fast. Yeah, I think you can apply that to people too. I mean, I know that sounds very cold, but it's your baby. You can't have them, bringing down the ship.
Going off of people, is that you talk about your partner. So how, like, I got, Batman and Robin type thing. So how important has that relationship been in everything that you've done? And without your partner, where do you think, would you have gone this kind of same route?
So in reverse, definitely not. I am very, I think by nature, I'm an accountant by trade, right? I am very risk averse. I would have probably still been working at a big bank if they hadn't laid me off yet, right? So the idea of entrepreneurship growing up, my parents were public school teachers. Like when I went back to business school, my dad was like, "What are you doing? You have a good job." Like the classic like teacher, no, you're making some money. Don't leave. So I definitely would not be where I am today without Zach. And look, there's been wins, there's been losses. We've taken some hits and we've had some great successes. The ride has been amazing. For us personally, I think so Batman and Robin is one thing people say, but to me it's actually yin and yang, because we balance each other very well in most things. That his strengths are often my weaknesses and vice versa. And over 20 something years, the level of trust, like if there's something in strategy or the human dynamic or sales or software development, Zach's got it. I'll question it if it makes sense, but 99 times out of 100, that's his area. If it's, accounting, finance, HR, admin, or dealing with the inevitable lawyers, again, for the most part, Zach's like, Scott's got it. I don't even need to worry about it.
How big of a team do you currently have, just with the amount of people and the layers there in the hierarchy?
So BioTrack has, give or take, 45 or 50 employees. It's a business with, 1,500 clients. Obviously it's a software business. So there's, the development team and the ancillary people that, help with software development. You've got the client service team that's very strong. And then, right, you've got an HR, a COO, a controller, right? So a lot of those folks are the ones that I tend to interact with most. And sales and marketing, right? See,
revenue drivers. Yeah.
Right.
That's all right. We're used to being ignored and seen as a line item.
And as an accounting guy, so am I. So
yeah. What's funny is sales and marketing. The traditional dynamics is usually like this, because sales is like, these leads are crap, and marketing's like, you wouldn't know how to close a lead if it was a self-closing door. I personally try to bridge that gap, because you can't. Marketing, it's really sales. It's just the top half of it,
right?
In a funnel perspective.
Yeah, right. It's the whole funnel concept, right? And so your job as marketing, I think, for the most part, at its most basic, is get as much good stuff or actionable stuff to come into that top of the funnel, and then hope the people below you don't screw it up.
True. And feedback from the bottom funnel, from the sales team.
Yes.
Feedback,
and we're big believers in, because Zach, my partner, is he was in the military before business school, and there's this concept of the OODA loop, and so you want to very quickly get feedback flowing, right? And the salespeople are out there on the front line talking to the customers. And so one of the things we expect of them is to bring that information back into the organization so it can be analyzed, hopefully accurately and quickly, and then, sort of brought into the, you use that, right, for the next thing you're going to do.
And it's all people driven, all personal interactions. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, I just sit here in my little office. My people interactions are, Zooms and Google Meets, and, occasionally they let me out in the wild, but not too much.
Is that why you have a heavy bag back there or something? Is that how you?
So that's when I get angry.
Yeah.
So maybe another great segue into mental health. And today was kind of one of those mornings where I hit the bag a couple times just to work out some of the frustration.
Yeah.
Smart. No, that's really smart.
That is smart.
We did have another.
It's better than hitting people.
It is, and I think it's better than the deconstruction room. I know we had. Who was talking?
They say that that's not actually effective.
Was it Dr. Julie? It was Dr. Julie.
Maybe, yeah.
Because when I beat on something, like, not humans, although it doesn't feel bad sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, you did say something, not someone.
Yeah. It gets the steam out, and then the whole it has to shift your context. It has to break you of that current paradigm, or else it becomes self-destructive. That was her big thing about, if you can go to a deconstruction room and smash some plates, and then be like, all right, I'm good, let's move on, and then not use that as a crutch, then it can be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. So for years, I thought MASH was the greatest show ever on television, and then they made Ted Lasso, and that whole like "be a goldfish" right line from just
Yep.
forget and just
Forget. Yep.
don't forget to the point where you make the same mistake every single time, but forget the personal affronts or the that person's an a-hole or whatever the case may be, and be like, yeah, okay, that's their problem, not mine. I can control what I can control, and make it the best environment for my team, etc.
That's so positive. It is like the most positive show that has come on probably since MASH. I don't know. We'll challenge it. Put it in the comments if you
Is
think there's been
anyone
something
surprised
better.
that I don't know the show?
You've heard of Ted Lasso, right?
No, I don't know who that is.
Huh. MASH, I'm not surprised if you've never heard of that
No,
one.
I
'cause that
actually
was-
heard of MASH. That's in black and white, right?
Thank you. No.
Oh crap! No, it's a war show, right?
Yeah.
It was took place during the Korean War, but it was not in black and white.
Yeah. But no, never heard of the other guy.
Wow.
Well, I have a quick question about Zach. Is Zach also like accountant by field, or what were you guys like college roommates?
So
too,
we met in business school. So
okay,
Zach, right. So Zach, West Point graduate, Army Ranger. So no, our backgrounds couldn't be more different if you other than we both grew up in New York City. That's pretty much where it ends. But we didn't know each other there. We got to know each other, 5 years after we each graduated college, and we were in the same class at business school.
What would you say that meeting was like? Like what? Like you guys just kept in touch, and then like randomly one day he was like, "Hey, let's do a business.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing random about Zach. He's the most well-read and thought. Like he sleeps like 4 hours a night. He takes more notes about thinking and strategy and what he's planning on doing than anyone I've ever met. So we met because he was struggling with accounting, and he asked around and was like, I need help. And they were like, go talk to this nerd over here. And so that was me. And then, so I helped him with accounting. He helped me trying to learn how to lift weights, which, as you can tell, was a complete failure. But, he got through accounting. I'm still, weak. But no, we summer interned together, and he talked about like, look, I'm going to start a business someday, and I want you to be the first guy in the door. We took an emerging markets finance class together, which after a week we realized was a total waste of a credit. And so we used to sit there while this guy was talking about like emerging market mutual funds, and we, do the proverbial on the napkin, writing down ideas for a business someday. And then we kept in touch because I was in the US, he was overseas. And then when some of his clients wanted to back him to start a company, he said, hey, you in? I said, sure. And I flew out to Geneva, Switzerland, spent a weekend, and it was all done and dusted, as they say.
Wow. I love the idea of like sitting and like writing ideas. It's like that typical story of like
literally with a napkin, except in a bar. It was in business school, which is
on your other podcast, I swear I heard the same story about two guys sitting and like writing. I need to get a goddamn napkin.
Yeah. Or a notepad, either one.
Now, we talk a lot about like the education with it. Like you went to grad school, you went to undergrad. So what you're doing now, does somebody need to have that educational background to, in your opinion, to get to where you are?
I mean, look, I think it's tricky to get to a C level, as they say, right, without some form of advanced degree, and ideally, I guess, an MBA. But that said, look, it happens all the time. Obviously, you hear about the ones like the Zuckerbergs or whatever of the world. I guess my question is he 1 in a billion and I'm 1 in a million, right? Or whatever the number is, right? 1 in 1,000. Yeah. In which case, if you want to play the odds, it probably does make sense. That said, I'm a big believer. Like if you're going to go back for an advanced degree, master's, MBA, whatever it is, work for a few years first. Get a little bit of life experience. You come out of college, you don't know anything about who you are, about the world, about anything. So get a job or two, and then hopefully, speak to enough people who have done enough different things to get a feel for, okay, do I want to now spend the next 2 or 4 or 8 years of my life in school working towards a certain thing? And so if so, do I need that thing to get where I want to get to? Right. I mean, I think it obviously it's going to be different for each person, but I do think ultimately, yes, if you want to become a CEO or a CFO, it probably is borderline necessary.
Which really, I guess, would be if you want to be a CEO or CFO of someone else's company, that would be it, right?
Well, I mean, to that point, you can be a founder and scale it and then hire a CEO. If
Yeah,
you don't
that's
like,
true.
I'm not going back to school for my MBA. I'm not going to, I love like learning, but it's usually modular and very specific.
Yeah.
Like I'm on a constant quest of, more education, but it's not going to be an MBA. It doesn't suit my needs in my business. If and when I get to that point, I have an ops manager, but we're not at the scale of having a technical C-suite.
Right.
I'll hire that person because that's delegation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, to your point, I also think a lot of times I always refer to it as the spark, right? Whatever it is that allows somebody like yourself to start with to start with the proverbial or real napkin, and from that blank white or yellow or whatever it is piece of paper, create a business. That doesn't often lend itself to now I want to manage it and deal with all these people for the next 25 years. Those are typically different mindsets. And you're right. I mean, Bill Gates brought in Steve Ballmer, right? Like, I mean, people bring in professional management all the time. You stay on the board or not, or whatever the case may be. But you're right. For the pure entrepreneurship angle, and to a certain point, I don't think it really matters. Absolutely.
No, I wanted to make that distinction because yes, to your point, because Jessica asked it, yeah, you do need to have that, experience in that C-suite leadership role, which higher education lends the credentials to it. But at the same time, like I'm not trying, I really don't want to dissuade anybody from that spark portion, because the end goal is to place somebody there or become that. If it makes sense for you, me, whoever, to go back and get that MBA, yeah, absolutely. And
Right.
Did you notice how she just stole my mint?
Yeah,
I saw something happen there. It was a little,
My bad. I don't know. I saw it. I think I've been asking about college a lot to a lot of our guests, because I think it's like something about myself that because I never finished that it always, I don't know. I feel like less than, I guess. And then I'm just like, well, I think I'm doing pretty well for not finishing.
You're doing awesome.
So then I always want to know people in these big spots. I'm like, well, were you a college person? Because some people that I know that are really successful are just like ADHD crazy that can't stop, and that's how they're successful. They're just crazy.
Right.
Yeah, they're machines.
They're crazy.
Like you. I mean, look, we can define success many, many different ways, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to go with the cookie cutter. I worked my way up the corporate ladder and now I'm a C whatever. Okay, that's one way, but I came to you asking you for advice on how to buy my first rental property, which by the way, I still haven't done. So
you want to buy one? I'm selling one.
No, you're not buying that. You're not buying that one.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I gotta stick with Jess.
Not a good first rental property, I can tell you that.
Exactly, right. So you don't need an MBA or even a college degree, and you're building up, like you say, potentially generational portfolio of wealth for you and your kids and your grandkids. You don't need an MBA for that.
Yeah, that's very true. And then I feel like I just learn all the time from YouTube. But even your job though, I can't imagine that what you were looking at in a book, besides terms, it's so hard for me to think that college and school prepares you for what actually is happening.
So my day-to-day, not necessary, except for the people part. So that those couple of management classes that I was like, oh my God, this is all just common sense because I was a numbers nerd. Now I actually okay, yeah, I see, right? Yeah. So, how to treat people and how to manage people and how to hopefully inspire people, and then how to deal with the ones that are, maybe lost causes, at least within our organization, right? And maybe that's not the right fit for them. Maybe they need to go somewhere else. Those types of skills, but then also, like I said, we bought and sold this company a few times. We've bought and sold other companies, or parts of our companies. And so those types of things, I think the MBA was very, very helpful for. Yeah. And then unfortunately, I do think there's just perception, right? And sometimes perception can become reality. And so, when I can, these three obnoxious, posters behind me of undergrad, grad, and CFA charter, for sometimes that's enough to open a door. I still have to get in and go do something on the other side, but those help.
That was a good way to put it. Like, they're my door opener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're not an end all be all by any means.
Yeah.
Because like there's plenty of folks with none of those or one of those that are billionaires or successful in however they want to define it. And unfortunately, there's plenty of people with those and more who are, let's say not
Dumb as
successful.
rocks.
I was going to say like dregs of humanity or losers, but we'll call it like it is.
Right. You took it a little far there, Scotty.
As you know, I do that once or twice.
Is that an improv thing? Taking it one step too far, one too many yes ands?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go for the laugh every time, even if you're rolling on the floor.
Stand up as well.
Yeah, Scott.
Right.
Scott did stand up with me.
One time.
Was that at the same night?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Dan was
Did I
there.
meet you there?
Oh, you were there?
Yes,
I was the guy
I was
the guy in the USA hockey jersey.
I did meet you. Okay. Yeah. That context is clear now because
I was the only one in a hockey jersey.
I broke my neck playing hockey a couple weeks ago, so that's fun.
That's not good.
He's being drama. He's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
The X-ray will reveal the truth.
Well, I hope it goes well. Negative. It's the only time negative is a good thing.
Yeah, that and I don't know, something else.
How long are you supposed to wear that thing?
6 weeks. I'm on week 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least you didn't die.
There you go. See, Jess is ever the optimist.
There is the positive.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for that pep talk and validation.
Yeah.
At least you didn't die.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's the moral of the story, friends, is go out there and try it, because the worst that can happen is you die. But if you don't,
right. and most of the time you don't.
Right. So. It's low, but never zero.
Yeah. Do you know what? That is true. You rarely die.
Yeah,
Except for when you do.
But
only
you will
once.
anyway
Crazy.
someday, so you might as well go out there and give it a shot.
There you go.
So we just brought this around full circle.
Yes, we did.
So there is a physical fitness test on this show at the end.
There is.
Yeah. So,
No, it's not physical fitness. It's we end the show the same way every time. We don't know why we do it, but we're gonna keep doing it.
Okay.
And it's by doing a
high kick. And you have to.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey.
wow.
So now you saw my slippers that I.
Your legs are so sexy. I didn't realize you had such.
You're doing your best, and some days it's a mess, but you're showing up still, so we're very impressed. Feeling the pressure, yeah, we relate. It's okay to not be okay. Minding our business, let's talk it out. Jess and Jonesy know what it's all about. From burnouts and doubts to boundaries that stick, we're right here with you through thick and thick. Do